Howdy. Welcome to my shop. My name's Ron and I'll be your host for the next 10 minutes or so. Being a fourth generation carpenter, wood is that's my language. It's my living, it's my hobby, it's my passion. One of those passions is making stocks. I've never had any formal training in this. I just wanted to put a piece of wood on a gun one day, and I seemed like that'd be a pretty unique challenge, so I tried it. And been going at it ever since, but honestly, I owe a lot of my success to my customers, my friends that have suggested this or that, different ways of doing it to produce a better outcome. And so I appreciate them. I owe them a great deal. The finish that I use was suggested by a friend of mine that owns a gun shop in Georgia, a guy named Dan. I've been friends with him for many years, and I owe him for that knowledge. So I don't suggest that my way is the only way. That's just not the case. I picked up my abilities to do this from watching other people and seeing other things and then figuring out how to do that. So it's a process. Some ways are better, cleaner, faster. They require less effort. On and on it goes. And I'm open to learning new and better ways. I'm always looking for that. My grandfather used to say, never let a day go by that you don't learn something. So when I do, I'll often look up, thanks, Pop, because no matter how old you get, you still need to be learning new things. So come on in, see what's going on today. Howdy. How you doing? Today I'm working on a Model 100 Winchester, an automatic, and it had a split in the side of this stock, and it went on an angle, a real flat angle. The mating surfaces of this crack were about 5/8 to a half an inch wide down through there. And I should have probably started recording whenever I started working on this, but I didn't, and I already epoxied this back together. It was a good clean break. It was a fresh break, so there was not any oil or grease in it, and it didn't have any dark stains where it had been cracked for a long time and oil had seeped in. It was a fresh break, and I don't know how it happened. I don't think it was from use or shooting. I think maybe it got pressed, a sideways pressure, like an impact of some sort. But it was a really good clean break, and I told the man I thought I could fix it. This is not an easy stock to make. It's a bear. I made one a couple years ago, and so and to keep it original, I'd rather fix something if it can be fixed well. Having said that, I should have started recording it first and let you get in on the ground floor. I'm sorry I didn't, but then when I started putting these splints on the inside, I thought, well, maybe someone can get some benefit out of this and fix their own if it comes to it. It's not a hard fix. All you got to do is determine whether it's been saturated with oil or not, because that's almost impossible to get rid of the oiliness. Nothing will stick to oil. I don't know of anything that'll stick to oil well. I mean, some things will hold for a little while, but not well. So what I did was I epoxied this gap. I pulled it apart. I put epoxy in there, and then I put pressure here and here and here with spring clamps, and just patted the outside so it didn't. The crack went together well cosmetically. It's not perfect, but when I get done with messing with the inside and getting that solid, I'll dress up the outside, and it'll be, you'd have to really look for it. And another thing is the customer wants it fixed. So the inside of it, I put some little troughs, little trenches. You see where I put those little divots across the crack? They go about perpendicular to the crack, and I'm going to fill those up with metal and epoxy. And you can see where all this has been relieved out to different stages. This is deeper than this, and there's another little trough up there that's deeper. All those things matter to the 100. There's a lot of stuff sliding around in here. So those have to be cleaned up and relieved as well. After I get done with the patching, then I've got to slick everything off. It's got to have the correct tolerances inside there. So here we go. All right, I need some little pieces of metal, little splints, if you will. See, this is just a 6-penny nail, nothing unusual about it. 6-penny nail, just need some metal, but I need it to be flat. Now it's flat. See, it's just, I don't know how thick it is, maybe 30 thousandths, but that's about what I need. Something flat and wide to bridge across that little divot that I made in those, across that grain. This needs to strengthen that. This thing needs to be flat on the top and curved, convex on the back, and I'm going to rough it up with this grindstone because it's too slick, it's too smooth. Those real fast strokes make it rough. I want to rough it up, create a lot of little rough areas for that epoxy to grab to. Now the length of it, right now the length is too long. I'm going to put a little bit of a round end on the end I can work with, and when I go to cut it off, I'll have to cut it off along here somewhere. I'll rough up that end as well. Now nails, by definition, are oily. Nails, regular nails come with a grease on them or an oil or finish of some sort to keep them from rusting in the box. So I'll have to degrease this before I epoxy it in there. Now, this is lacquer thinner. I'm just cleaning any oil or grease or any foreign matter off these splints. You can see these splints, how rough the surface is. After I ground them to shape, I scored them with that stone, that grindstone. So when I made these little divots, I used a chisel that had a round bottom. See, that chisel is a round bottom gouge, so it left a round bottom hole, and that's the reason I made my splints round on the bottom and flat on top, where I can lay that right in that round bottom hole and fill that up with epoxy. Just embed that thing in epoxy. I'll cut them to length. See, right now it's just way too long. This one's the shortest one, and then this one up here is next to the shortest one, and they get longer in the middle. So I'll cut them to length, embed those with epoxy, and flatten that off. Those are all below the surface of the inside of this milling. All of them are below surface. And when I get done, that epoxy needs to be back at surface, but not above it. Actually, that one right there has got a little tiny bit sticking up. I'll grind a little bit off of that one. All right, I know they fit like they are, so I've just laid them beside the openings. I've not moved them, I've not switched ends, I just put them right beside where they used to be. And I'm going to fill that little trough up with epoxy. And I'm actually going to overfill it. I'd rather clean off the excess than to have a gap. And on the inside here, I am not as particular about what it looks like. I'm just mainly interested in strength and a good repair. Can't see how much pressure I'm putting on with the tip of this nail, but I'm pushing it down in there as hard as I can with 2 or 3 fingers. I want it to bottom out. And then I will come back over it and cover that with epoxy and just bed it in there. It's sandwiched in between epoxy. trim off the excess as I need to. All right, now I'm going to give that a little time to think about it. Let that dry really well. Probably, even though this says 5-minute epoxy, probably half a day, 3-4 hours. All right, the original finish on a gun stock is pretty much like virginity. You just get it once. So having to fix something like this and then go back and disguise the scar is not an easy thing to do. It's possible, but it's just not easy. Now that crack went all the way out and down the very bottom, on the very bottom of this, down in here. And you need to use a straight block behind your sandpaper, because if you try to do it with just your hands backing up your paper, your hands are flexible and they'll go in and out. What you want to do is just sand off the high places. This is the high side, this is the low side. And this is 220 and fairly worn out 220, so I'm not taking off a lot. I'm just evening it up. I want to refinish just between these two checkering lines and no more. And this is press checkering, and it's impossible for me to reproduce. So I'm staying really stopping right there at that edge. I will have to reproduce not just the finish but the color of this. This is not your typical pre-64 Winchester red. This stuff is more, it's been ambered out some because this is a varnish base finish, an oil base. And oil bases tend to yellow out and get a little amber with time. This is probably a mid-70s gun. I didn't check the numbers on it, but that's just a gut feeling I get. So once I get it smooth, then I've got to reproduce the finish, the color. When I get the color right, then I can go with the finish. And the customer has already told me he doesn't really care about the cosmetics, but if it leaves this shop, I do.